Chapter 4 The Descendants of Judah. Judah was the father of 5 sons: Perez, Hezron, Carmi, Hur, and Shobal. Shobal was the father of Reaiah, the grandfather of Jehath, and the great-grandfather of Ahumai and Lahad. These men all belonged to the Jorathite clan. Hur was the eldest son of Caleb and Ephrath. Some of his descendants settled the town of Bethlehem. Hur's other descendants included Etam, Penuel, and Ezer. Etam's sons were Jezreel, Ishmael, and Idbash, and his daughter was Hazelelponi. Penuel settled the town of Gedor, and Ezer settled the town of Husha. Ashur, who settled the town of Tekoa, had 2 wives, Helah and Nara. Ashur and Nara were the parents of Ahuzam, Hefer, Temeni, and Hahashitari. Ashur and Helah were the parents of Jereth, Izhar, and Ethnan. Cos, the father of Anub and Jobeba, was also the ancestor of the clans of Aharhel, the son of Harum. Jabez was a man who got his name because of the pain he caused his mother during birth. But he was still the most respected son in his family. One day he prayed to Israel's God, "Please bless me and give me a lot of land. Be with me so I will be safe from harm." And God did just what Jabez had asked. Shelob was the brother of Shuha and the father of Mehir. Later Mehir had a son, Eshton, whose 3 sons were Beth-Raphah, Paseah, and Tehina. It was Tehina who settled the town of Nahash. These men and their families lived in the town of Rekha. Kenaz was the father of Othniel and Seraiah. Othniel had 2 sons, Hathath and Meononothai, who was the father of Ophrah. Seraiah was the father of Joab, who settled a place called the Valley of Crabs, because the people who lived there were experts in making things. Caleb, son of Jephunneh, had 3 sons, Iru, Elah, and Naam. Elah was the father of Kenaz. Jehalelel was the father of Zippah, Tiria, and Asarel. Ezra was the father of Jether, Mered, Epher, and Jalon. Mered was married to Bithiah, the daughter of the king of Egypt. They had a daughter named Miriam and 2 sons, Shammai and Ishbah. It was Ishbah who settled the town of Eshtemoa. Mered was also married to a woman from the tribe of Judah, and their sons were Jared, Heber, and Jekuthiel. Jared settled the town of Gedor. Heber settled the town of Soko, and Jekuthiel settled the town of Zanoah. A man named Hodiah was married to the sister of Naham. Hodiah's descendants included Keilah of the Garmite clan and Eshtemoa of the Maacathite clan. Shimon was the father of Amnon, Rimna ben Hanan, and Tilon. Ishi was the father of Joheth and Ben-Zoheth. Judah also had a son named Shelah, whose descendants included Joachim and the people of the town of Kozeba, as well as Er, who settled the town of Rekha, and Ladar, who settled the town of Mareshah. The people who lived in Beth Ashbel also descendants of Shelah, and they were experts in weaving clothes. Shelah was the ancestor of Joash and Saraph, two men who married the Moabite women and then settled near Bethlehem. But these family records are very old. The members of these clans were the potters who lived in the towns of Netaim and Gedera and worked for the king. The descendants of Simeon. Simeon had 5 sons, Nemuel, Jamin, Jarib, Jerah, and Shaul. The descendants of Shaul included his son Shalom, his grandson Mibsam, and his great-grandson Mishma. The descendants of Mishma included his son Hamuel, his grandson Zakur, and his great-grandson Shimei. Shimei had 16 sons and 6 daughters, but his brothers did not have as many children, so the Shimeon tribe was smaller than the Judah tribe. Before David became king, the people of the Shimeon tribe lived in the following towns: Beersheba, Molada, Hajar Shual, Bilhah, Ezem, Tolat, Bethel, Hormah, Ziklag, Beth-Marcaboth, Hazar Susim, Beth-Biri, and Shaaraim. They also lived in the 5 villages of Etham, Ain, Rimmon, Tochan, and Ashan, as well as in the nearby villages as far as the town of Baal. These are the places where Shimeon's descendants had settled according to their own family records. As their families and clans became larger, the people of Simeon had the following leaders: Meshobab, Jamlech, Joshua, son of Amaziah, Joel, Jehu, Elionai, Jacobah, Jehoiah, Asaiah, Adiel, Jeshmeel, Benaiah, and Ziza. When the people needed more pasture land for their flocks and herds, they looked as far as the eastern side of the valley where the town of Gerar is, and they found a lot of good pasture land that was quiet and undisturbed. This had once belonged to the Hamites, but when Hezekiah was king of Judah, the descendants of Simeon attacked and forced the Hammatites and Meunites of the land, then settled there some time later. 500 men from the Simeon tribe went into Edom under the command of Pelatiah, Neariah, Rephaiah, and Uzziel, the sons of Ishi. They killed the last of the Amalekites and lived there from then on. Chapter 5. The descendants of Reuben. Reuben was the eldest son of Jacob, but he lost his rights as the firstborn son because he slept with one of his father's wives. The honor of the firstborn son was then given to Joseph, even though it was the Judah tribe that became the most powerful and produced a leader. Reuben had 4 sons: Hanok, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. The descendants of Zoel included Shemaiah, Gok, Shimei, Micah, Reaiah, Baal, and Beera, leader of the Reuben tribe. Later, King Tiglath-Pileser of Assyria took Beera away as prisoner. Family records also include Jael, who was a clan leader, Zechariah and Bela, son of Azaz, and grandson of Shema of the Joel clan. They lived in the territory around the town of Aroer, as far north as Nebo and Baal-Meon, and as far east as the desert just west of the river Euphrates. They needed this much land because they owned too many cattle to keep them all in Gilead. When Saul was king, the Reuben tribe attacked and defeated the Hagrites, then took over their land east of Gilead. The descendants of Gad. The tribe of Gad lived in the region of Bashan, north of the Reuben tribe. Gad's territory extended all the way to the town of Seleka. Some of the clan leaders were Zor, Shapham, Janai, and Shaphat. Their relatives included Michael, Meshulam, Sheba, Jorai, Jachan, Zia, and Eber. They were all descendants of Abihail, whose family line went back through Huri, Jaroah, Gilad, Michael, Jeshua, Jado, and Buz. Ahi, the son of Abdiel and the grandson of Guni, was the leader of their clan. The people of God lived in the towns in the regions of Bashan and Gilead, as well as in the pasture land of Sharon. Their family records were written when Jotham was king of Judah and Jeroboam was king of Israel. The tribes of Reuben, Gad, and East Manasseh had 44,760 soldiers trained to fight in battle with shields, swords, bows, and arrows. They fought against the Hagarites and the tribes of Zethur, Naphish, and Nodab. Whenever these soldiers went to war against their enemies, they prayed to God and trusted Him to help. That's why the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and East Manasseh defeated the Hagarites and their allies. These Israelite tribes captured 50,000 camels, 250,000 sheep, 2,000 donkeys, and 100,000 people. Many of the Hagarites died in battle because God was fighting this battle against them. The tribes of Reuben, Gad, and East Manasseh lived in that territory until they were taken as prisoners to Assyria. The tribe of East Manasseh. East Manasseh was a large tribe, so its people settled in the northern region of Bashan as far north as Baal Hermon, Sinir, and Mount Hermon. Eber, Ishi, Eliel, Ezrael, Jeremiah, Hodabiah, and Jadiel was their clan leaders. They were well-known leaders and brave soldiers. The tribes of Reuben, Gad, and East Manasseh are defeated. The people of the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and East Manasseh were unfaithful to the God their ancestors had worshipped, and they started worshipping the gods of the nations that God had forced out of Canaan. So God sent King Tiglath-Pileser of Assyria to attack these Israelite tribes. The king led them away as prisoners to Assyria, and from then on he forced them to live in Hala, Habor, Hara, and near the river Gozan. Chapter 6. The descendants of Levi. Levi was the father of Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. Kohath was the father of Amram, Issachar, Hebron, and Uzziel. Amram was the father of Aaron, Moses, and Miriam. Aaron had four sons, Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. Eleazar's descendants included Phinehas, Abishua, Buki, Uzi, Jerahiah, Meraios, Amariah, Ahitub, Zadok, Ahimaaz, Azariah, Johanan, Azariah, the priest who served in the temple built by King Solomon, Amariah, Ahitub, Zadok, Salom, Hilkiah, Azariah, Seraiah, and Jehozadak. King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylonia took Jehozadak to Babylon as a prisoner when the Lord let the people of Judah and Jerusalem be dragged from their land. Levi's three sons had sons of their own. Gershon was the father of Libni and Shimei. Kohath was the father of Amram, Ishar, Hebron, and Uzziel. Merari was the father of Mahli and Mushi. These descendants of Levi each became leaders of their own clans. Gershon's descendants included Libni, Jahath, Jimah, Joah, Iddo, Zerah, and Jeatherai. Kohath's descendants included Aminadab, Korah, Asir, Elkanah, Ebiashab, Asir, Tahas, Uriel, Uzziah, and Shaul. Elkanah was the father of Amasai and Ahimoth. Ahimos's descendants included Elkanah, Jophei, Nahash, Eliab, Jeroham, and Elkanah. Samuel was the father of Joel and Abijah, born in that order. Merari's descendants included Mali, Rimni, Shimei, Uzziah, Shimei, Haggiah, and Asaiah. Temple musicians. After King David had the sacred chest moved to Jerusalem, he appointed musicians from the Levite tribe to be in charge of the music at the place of worship. These musicians served at the sacred tent and later at the Lord's temple that King Solomon built. Here is a list of these musicians and their family lines. Heman from the Kohathite clan was the director. His ancestors went all the way back to Jacob and included Joel, Samuel, Elkanah, Jeroham, Eliel, Toah, Zub, Elkanah, Mahath, Amashai, Elkanah, Joel, Azariah, Zephaniah, Tahath, Asir, Ebiashap, Korah, Issachar, Kohath, and Levi. Ashap was Heman's relative and served as his assistant. Asap's ancestors included Berechiah, Shemaiah, Michael, Baashiah, Malchijah, Ethni, Zerah, Adaiah, Ethan, Zimah, Shimei, Jahaz, Gershon, and Levi. Ethan was also Heman's relative and served as his assistant. Ethan belonged to the Merari clan, and his ancestors included Kishi, Abdi, Maluk, Hashabiah, Amaziah, Hilkiah, Amzibani, Shemer, Mahli, Mushi, Merari, and Levi. The rest of the Levites were appointed to work at the sacred tent, the descendants of Aaron. Only Aaron and his descendants were allowed to offer sacrifices and incense on the two altars at the sacred tent. They were in charge of the most holy place and the ceremonies to forgive sins, just as God's servant Moses had commanded. Aaron's descendants included his son Eleazar, Phinehas, Abishua, Buki, Uzzi, Jeriah, Meriah, Amariah, Ahitub, Zadok, and Ahimaaz. The towns for the Levites. This is also told in Joshua 21, 1-42. Aaron's descendants belonged to the Levite clan of Kohath, and they were the first group chosen to receive towns to live in. They received the town of Hebron in the territory of Judah and the pasture land around it. But the farmland and villages around Hebron were given to Caleb son of Jephunneh. So Aaron's descendants received the following safe towns and the pasture land around them: Hebron, Rimnah, Satir, Eshtemoa, Hilen, Debir, Ashan, and Beth Shemesh. From the Benjamin tribe, they were given the towns of Geba, Alemeth, and Anathoth, and the pasture land around them. 13 towns were given to Aaron's descendants. The rest of the Levite clan of Kohath received 10 towns from West Manasseh. The Levite clan of Gershon received 13 towns from the tribes of Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, and East Manasseh in Bashan. The Levite clan of Merari received 12 towns from the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Zebulun. So the people of Israel gave the Levites towns to live in and the pasture land around them. All the towns were chosen with the Lord's help, including those towns from the tribes of Judah, Simeon, and Benjamin. Some of the families of the Kohath clan received their towns from the tribe of Ephraim. These families received the following safe towns and the pasture land around them: Shechem in the hill country, Gezer, Jokmeam, Beth Horon, Aijalon, and Gath-Rimmon. And from West Manasseh, they received Aner and Bileam, together with their pasture land. The Gershonite clan received 2 towns from the tribe of East Manasseh, Golan in Bashan, and Ashtaroth, including the pasture land around them. The Gershonites also received 4 towns from the tribe of Issachar: Kadesh, Daberas, Ramoth, and Anem, including the pasture land around them. The Gershonites received 4 towns from the tribe of Asher: Mashal, Abdon, Hukkok, and Rehob, including the pasture land around them. Finally, the Gershonites received 3 towns from the tribe of Naphtali: Kadesh in Galilee, Hammon, and Kiriathaim, including the pasture land around them. The rest of the Merari clan received the towns of Rimono and Tabor and their pasture land from the tribe of Zebulun. They also received 4 towns east of the river Jordan from the tribe of Reuben: Bezer in the flatlands, Zaza, Kedemoth, and Mephath, including the pastures around them. And from the tribe of Gad, the Merarites received the towns of Ramoth in Gilead, Mahanaim, Heshbon, and Jazer, including the pasture land around them.